Shalom, it's Judah J. Interesting topic today, which I hope that we can actually have some conversation on a little bit later. I'm going to show you two videos, two clips. But the topic is very interesting. If you listen to the end, you'll really find this to be very interesting. So have you ever heard of quantum entanglement? Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon whereby a pair of particles are generated in such a way that the individual quantum states of each are indefinite until measured. And the act of measuring one determines the result of measuring the other, even when at a distance from each other. So what this means is that there's a pair of particles, and which is matter. So we have matter or particles, or we can say individuals, that cannot be quantified or measured without the other. And that regardless of where these two particles or individuals are, the results of measuring the two are indefinite until measured. Now, the word indefinite, of course, means something lasting for an unknown or unstated length of time. So the reaction, which is generated from these two forces being measured together, are now definite, meaning they have a definable measure of time. Or to go even deeper, the patterns or movements created from this interaction of matter, or you could say individuals, it has a rhyme or reason, so to speak. There's a rhyme and a reason to it, and can thus be manipulated and manufactured. Targeting individuals. I've always told you on this channel that the true economy of the world is a sin economy. And this means that the individuals, groups of people, and even whole nations and kingdoms of the world are incentivized by the people living in an immoral way that goes against God, his laws, his commandments. Quantum entanglement, as I stated before, is when the outcome of one or more individuals that are being measured have opposite reactions, right? So for example, when one particle or individual is going left, the other is going right. When one is going up, the other is going down. Now, these perps sent against us are paid well, some even handsomely, to watch, stalk, lie on us, deceive, and possibly torment us. So when connecting this to quantum entanglement, the quantum entanglement theory, we can see that we have matter or individuals which are inorganically connected to one another, with the outcomes measured always going in the opposite direction. This satanic program is purposed for the gang stalkers to rise as the TIs fall, for them to follow an upward bound trajectory of success and plenty, while the TIs, they have a downward spiral or confusion and failure. Let that sink in. Let me show you these two clips real quick. It's from this video that will hopefully make this make a little bit more sense to you. Because I'm absolutely, to tell you the truth, I'm floored by this. And I think that if we know that they've gone to these lengths to cause our lives to be a living hell, or to track us, to watch us, they've gone to these lengths. Watch this really quick. I'm going to turn it off and talk, and then come back. We'll share some more about it in a second.
In the 1930s, Albert Einstein was upset with quantum mechanics. He proposed a thought experiment where, according to the theory, an event at one point in the universe could instantaneously affect another event arbitrarily far away. He called this spooky action at a distance because he thought it was absurd. It seemed to imply faster-than-light communication, something his theory of relativity ruled out. But nowadays, we can do this experiment, and what we find is indeed spooky. But in order to understand it, we must first understand spin. All fundamental particles have a property called spin. No, they're not actually spinning, but the analogy is appropriate. They have angular momentum and they have an orientation in space. Now we can measure the spin of a particle, but we have to choose the direction in which to measure it. And this measurement can have only one of two outcomes. Either the particle's spin is aligned with the direction of measurement, which we'll call spin up, or it is opposite the measurement, which we'll call spin down. Now what happens if the particle's spin is vertical, but we measure its spin horizontally? Well then, it has a 50% chance of being spin up and a 50% chance of being spin down. And after the measurement, the particle maintains this spin. So measuring its spin actually changes the spin of the particle. What if we measure spin at an angle 60 degrees from the vertical? Well now, since the spin of the particle is more aligned to this measurement, it will be spin up 3/4 of the time and spin down 1/4 of the time. The probability depends on the square of the cosine of half the angle. Now, an experiment like the one Einstein proposed can be performed using two of these particles, but they must be prepared in a particular way. For example, formed spontaneously out of energy. Now, since the total angular momentum of the universe must stay constant, you know that if one particle is measured to have spin up, the other, measured in the same direction, must have spin down. I should point out it's only if the two particles are measured in the same direction that their spins must be opposite. Now here's where things start to get a little weird. You might imagine that each particle is created with a definite, well-defined spin, but that won't work, and here's why. Imagine their spins were vertical and opposite. Now, if they're both measured in the horizontal direction, each one has a 50-50 chance of being spin up. So there's actually a 50% chance that both measurements will yield the same spin outcome. And this would violate the law of conservation of angular momentum. According to quantum mechanics, these particles don't have a well-defined spin at all. They are entangled, which means their spin is simply opposite that of the other particle. So when one particle is measured and its spin determined, you immediately know what the same measurement of the other particle will be. This has been rigorously and repeatedly tested experimentally. It doesn't matter at which angle the detectors are set or how far apart they are, they always measure opposite spins. Now just stop for a minute and think about how crazy this is. Both particles have undefined spins, and then you measure one, and immediately you know the spin of the other particle, which could be light years away. It's as though the choice of the first measurement has influenced the result of the second faster than the speed of light, which is indeed how some theorists interpret the result. But not Einstein. Einstein was really bothered by this. He preferred an alternate explanation, that all along the particles contained hidden information about which spin they would have if measured in any direction. It's just that we didn't know this information until we measured them. Now, since that information was within the particles from the moment they formed at the same point in space, no signal would ever have to travel between the two particles faster than light. Now, for a time, scientists accepted this view, that there were just some things about the particles we couldn't know before we measured them. But then along came John Bell with a way to test this idea. This experiment can determine whether the particles contain hidden information all along or not. And this is how it works. There are two spin detectors, each capable of measuring spin in one of three directions. These measurement directions will be selected randomly and independent of each other. Now, pairs of entangled particles will be sent to the two detectors, and we record whether the measured spins are the same, both up or both down, or different. We'll repeat this procedure over and over, randomly varying those measurement directions, to find the percentage of the time the two detectors give different results. And this is the key, because that percentage depends on whether the particles contain hidden information all along or if they don't. Now, to see why this is the case, let's calculate the expected frequency of different readings if the particles do contain hidden information. Now, you can think of this hidden information like a secret plan the particles agree to, and the only criterion that plan must satisfy is that if the particles are ever measured in the same direction, they must give opposite spins. So for example, one plan could be that one particle will give spin up for every measurement direction, and its pair would give spin down for every measurement direction. Or another plan, plan 2, could be that one particle could give spin up for the first direction, spin down for the second direction, and spin up for the third direction. Whereas its partner would give spin down for the first direction, spin up for the second direction, and spin down for the third direction. All other plans are mathematically equivalent, so we can work out the expected frequency of different results using these two plans. Here, I'm visually representing the particles by their plans, their hidden information. With plan 1, the results will obviously be different 100% of the time. It doesn't matter which measurement directions are selected. But it does for particles using the second plan. For example, if both detectors measure in the first direction, particle A gives spin up while particle B gives spin down. The results are different. But if instead detector B measured in the second direction, the result would be spin up, so the spins are the same. We can continue doing this for all the possible measurement combinations, and what we find is the results are different 5 out of 9 times. So using the second plan, the results should be different 5/9 of the time. And using the first plan, the results should be different 100% of the time. So overall, if the particles contain hidden information, you should see different results more than 5/9 of the time. So what do we actually see in experiment? Well, the results are different only 50% of the time. It doesn't work. So the experiment rules out the idea that all along these particles contain hidden information about which spin they will give in the different directions. So how does quantum mechanics account for this result? Well, let's imagine detector A measures spin in the first direction and the result is spin up. Now immediately you know that the other particle is spin down if measured in the first direction, which should happen randomly 1/3 of the time. However, if particle B is measured in one of the other two directions, it makes an angle of 60 degrees with these measurement directions. And recall from the beginning of this video, the resulting measurement should be spin up 3/4 of the time. Since these measurement directions will be randomly selected 2/3 of the time, particle B will give spin up 2/3 times 3/4 equals half of the time. So both detectors should give the same results half of the time and different.
So do you see? This is really for those that can really see beyond the veil, right? Do you see that all of the different detectors and all the different measurable variables that they had from their different experiments, right? If it's 1/3 of the time, if it's aiming up, then the other ones, maybe another percentage of the time, are going to be going in another direction. If it's turned this way for 1/3 of the time, then the other ones are going to be going in this direction, in this direction. When I listen to stuff like that, it shows that there's people that are thinking very deeply and about ways in which to manipulate the minds, manipulate the direction of specific people on this earth, which are target individuals. When you look at all of that, those different studies, those different variables they had, that means they have their scientists, their people that made this program. They have figured out many different outcomes for target individuals. If we target them like this is going to happen, but it might not happen all the time. It might happen to the point. It may get to the point where they may respond in this way at this time, but if we add a little bit more pressure on this end, then it's going to, most of the time, or our studies have shown, it's going to have these guys respond in this fashion, this percentage of the time. This all equals up to, who are we? Why are we so unique that they would go to these lengths to try to destroy us, to cause this much pain and torment in the lives of people that are just flesh and blood, just trying to live like everyone else? Everyone makes mistakes. So if these are people that are watching us from afar, which I've told you before, Jeremiah 20:10 is what it is, but these are people that are watching us from afar, and they've seen that we've done something in our lives that they disagree with, that to them maybe gives them a reason to torment us, even if they feel that way. Why would you go to the lengths that you are going to in order to accomplish this goal of yours? Who are we? Who are we? Right? So one person's soul is being fed by the other soul, stealing energy from them. That's what this quantum entanglement. That's what's going on here. You got one people going in one direction, another people going in another direction. in the opposite direction, but they have to be joined together. See, these they're manipulated, they're brought together by some sort of manipulation. People bring these two particles or individuals or matter. That's what it is. They bring them together, and now they're trying to achieve a certain outcome. And these two outcomes will always be opposite. So if you have one person that's doing well, which is the target, which is the stalker, because these are the ones that are trying to, they're the ones that are gaining from this thing as they would think financially, in position, gaining positions of power, positions, all status. They're gaining these things, as of course we would see in the outward, the way we see it outward, our outward perception of it. While the target individual is just spiraling down, having all of these problems. A lot of these problems are so overwhelming that it might cause them to develop psychosis. They just lose. It seems like in every angle, right? This is also a connection to the yin yang principle of good and evil, having the principle of good and evil, and they have to be in union in order for there to be balance. So that's what the yin yang principle is. Good and evil have to be in union. They have to be, they both serve each other, serve a purpose, right? In order for there to be some sort of balance. And there can't be balance without evil having good and good being evil. That's why those that are the satanic elite that control the world, that follow these doctrines of devils, that are being controlled by fallen angels that are all already on the earth, that are giving them the instructions in order to navigate and direct the world. That's the reason why they feel like that's okay what they're doing, how they destroy the people, how nothing they do makes any sense as far as any help for us, as far as just their plans, just their strategies don't make sense, and everybody's like, why are they doing it like this? And why it seems like nothing ever gets done for the positive? People are in poverty, people don't have finances, people are struggling, and these people just they live on the hog. And you watch these people, it seems like they're completely oblivious to everything that's going on, and you're like, how are there people that are leaders, that are supposed to be our leaders, and the wise ones and the astute ones and the ones that went to school and gained all these degrees, and they're supposed to be these think tanks, and you would think they would even be more cultivated and also just more advanced in their ability to feel, have empathy, because they have all this knowledge. Wisdom should breed some sort of morality, because you know things. Now you should have more of you should have more of an empathy for people. All right. But not these people. These people do anything, any and everything against the people. And they have us. And the other thing about it is they have us watch it. They have us watch them as they live high on the hog, as they have everything, as they basically do anything they want with no repercussion. And they actually have the mindset that actually thinks that it's okay, that it's right. And we see these things as just more normal people out in the world. We see them acting these ways, and we don't really think about just how diabolical what they're doing is. You kind of like get used to it. You kind of get numb to the fact that you see these monsters doing these things, these leaders, these world leaders, these most people that are in positions of power to influence people. You see that they're doing nothing to help any of us. You see them just completely just throwing it in our faces, their arrogance, their pride, their just in a just non ability or just non desire to change anything, and they have the power. And you wonder why they're doing it, because they're not of us. But what I'm telling you is that there are certain tactics that are being used against target individuals that has been pre-planned. But it's not just some person we that's somewhere saying we don't like these people. They're doing too much snooping into our plans. It seems like they're accurate a lot of the time, and we know who they are because we watch them all the time through our various means of watching them. which of course on this channel I tell you is spiritual also, but physical as well. So they say we don't like them, right? And so we got to find a way to just stop them, right? Make their life a living hell. Blah 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 blah. You would say, okay, well, that seems like that's horrible, but it seems like something that a person that you're like you have a problem with, that somebody you see, you've done something wrong to them, and now you have to kind of think about, oh, I better watch this person because they might try to come back at me and do some weird stuff, so I got to watch them. That's normal. It actually is normal. You made somebody mad, and then now it's like, okay, it's not normal, it's not good, it's not right, but it's like a human thing people do. It's like, oh, well, yeah, this person may try to get some sort of revenge. But this person's not going to create a whole scientific and mathematical theory in order to stop me or do something against me. Come on now. This is where it gets crazy. There's also an acknowledgement of positive and negative charges coming together to make a spark. They need each other in order for this spark to happen. One charge is negative, one charge is positive. These two without each other, there's nothing that would happen. But see, the thing is, okay, you say, okay, that's natural, that's obvious. But see, the thing is, they have done so many calculations by watching people, by putting people targets in certain situations and scenarios where they know what certain outcomes are going to happen based off of all of the study that they have done by watching us, by manipulating our reality, by trying to manipulate our reality, having us walk into situations where the interactions we have with people are not organic at all. These people have been paid and put there, and they follow a script, and then all of a sudden these people sit back in the cut. You don't know where they are at. You don't know where they're at, because it's not just people that are watching you. You have the spiritual realm watching you. So you have fallen angels, you have these demons in the spiritual realm, monitoring spirits, gathering information, sending it back to the perps, the people that walk with bodies on the earth. And now they basically have this whole complete dossier on you and me based off of watching. Jeremiah 20:10. They will basically, this is paraphrasing, they basically sit back and watch for you to make a report against you, a report against us. So if you're doing something that they feel is not right, now I told you on this channel, it goes very deep. If you're doing something that goes against God's word, since God in the Most High Yah is the creator of, he's in charge of good and evil, right? He uses the evil one for his purposes, as we know when we read the book of Job. He will use the evil one for his purposes, but he's still there with us, and it's for a good purpose, right? In the end. Right? Because we know all things work to the good of those that love the Most High Yah. But he will use that for his purposes. But these people, they sit back in the cut and they're waiting to find something against people, not just Israelites, but Gentiles as well. Find something that you've done wrong that goes against God, so he'll give them the green light to allow you to go through persecution, maybe even be taken out of this place. You understand that they think deeply. The wicked one thinks deeply. So you have all of these things working against you. So what do you do? What do you do? I'm going to put this, let me see. I want to have a conversation. If you guys would like, if anyone in here would like to have a conversation right now on this topic, of course, they'll do anything. So let me put this on here first. Angels don't fall. They'll do anything to trip you so you fall. Don't fail. And they do trip, causing the downward fall they're aiming for. You say get back up and don't fall for it again. So I guess basically learn from your mistakes and be wise enough to see that mistake and make a change. And that change is, of course, giving it to the Most High Yah and allowing him to take control of the situation, right? Right? Okay, so I'm going to put this, let me see. I'll put this up here very quick. If you want to join this live and have this discussion on quantum entanglement, if you to talk about, if you knew about this, if you know anything about this, that you can go more in depth with this, because I think that there is a real connection between quantum entanglement and the target individual experience. They just seem like they're one and the same. It seems like there are those that are working in the background that are putting, that are maybe, I mean, I think it even goes even further than that, where they have studied certain the specific people that they are going to send to you. Let me say that again. I think the people in power that are above in this, that started this program, that not started. I mean, it's, this program's always been going. It's just not. I don't even want to call it a program anymore. It's just like it's a fiery trial, right? That the Most High God allows to happen. But on this earth, guess who He has given the power to allow to do certain things for His purposes? I think these people. There's a name for it, and you could say target, gang stalking. You could say that this is you can say that it's a program, whatever, but you can also say that regardless of what it is, there are people that have thought very deeply about ways in which to carry this thing out. And all I'm saying is that when I have done my study of, and I'm still studying this quantum entanglement, right? That there is a connection. And I think between that and the target individual experience and this whole gang stalking program, they have thought about different variables that they can. And there's been different. Let me see, different tests, right? There's been different stud things put together, right? And these people that are in control of this, they've watched and they've seen how one person will react based off of another person's actions. And they know by putting those variables together and as frequently as they've done it, and by watching it and seeing how they would react, they know based off percentages how the reactions of a person, how they're going to respond to certain targeting, what's their moves going to be. So then you can say, okay, well, this goes to kind of the whole line of Elon Musk, where he's trying to basically give his people, or this, the power to read your mind, and to be able to determine and to dictate what path you are going to follow, or what direction you're going to go in life, what decisions you're going to make. Of course, they already have these things out. I'm also telling you, this is also spiritual. So they already have familiar spirits and monitoring spirits that are able to read people in this way. That's the big trick. The big secret is that they have telepathy. The big secret is that these people have telepathy. Your enemies and most people out in the world that you think are just normal people that are walking amongst you, they have telepathy. They can read your mind already. I'm sorry. As a target individual, I've done created my own little tests that from watching these people. See, we learn a lot from watching, right? And I know that these people can't be everywhere at one time and always know everything about what you're doing. And that when you even see random people when you're walking down the street or driving or whatever you're at, and this random person that's on the road or on the side of the road looks up and looks at you and has a little smile or smirk. Random. I'm not talking about people just walking there, just maybe they're doing some sort of flooding the environment with their people, and they just want you to feel overwhelmed by their people around you. I'm talking about just like those situations where it's not that. It's a normal person there. It's just not in part, it doesn't seem like they should be a part of the whole equation. They look at you, they smile, but it's not like it's a normal smile. We know what normal smiles are. Sorry, I would say the target individuals are more advanced than most people. And it's not because we're better, it's because we've been through so much. It's because of all the stimuli and the negative, even positive stimuli. We've learned how to differentiate between the two. And so now basically when something's real and when it's not real. And that makes us, I think, a little bit more advanced because we're using different parts of our brain that other people haven't used before. And this whole fight, so to speak, it's not one that the elite want us to survive through. They want us to take ourselves out. They want us to be overwhelmed by it, because guess what? Check this out. The ones that they know that have a real connection with God, or that because the only way you can really survive this thing is if you have God, the Most High Yah. We are not surviving this thing by our own power. We are just flesh and blood. The Most High Yah is the issuer of life and death. He is the one that's above every principality and power. And those that are real target individuals put their trust in Christ. and it's no other God. There are no other gods that exist. That there are deities, not even deities, because that's like some royal. No, we're taught those are fallen angels, fallen demons, and all demons and the fallen one's kingdom. Boom, we brush that to the side. That's nothing, right? Our God is the Most High Yah, our Savior Yahushua Hamashiach. He has all power. They know that we have this power through our God, and they don't want us to go through these targeted individual experiences and to be able to be sustained through it. Because what's happening when a TI goes through these things for years and years and years, what's happening? They're gaining knowledge that is uncommon to the people in this world. They're gaining extrasensory abilities, possibly in the spiritual realm, to be able to see the enemy in ways in which no one can see the enemy, and to be able to have discernment to be able to determine who these enemies are, and then be able to go to their God and get the power through him to fight these enemies. Because this thing is spiritual. They have weapons that are physical, but the thing is spiritual. That's when that's when a person really can fight one of these perps, one of these satanic people that are doing these witchcrafts, rituals, and sorceries against us. That's the only people that can fight against these people. It's in the spiritual realm. You can only fight them in the spiritual realm, and they feel it and they know it. And you know what? When a person that is not serving God or not walking righteous before the Most High Yah, when a person and they're TI and they're going through this stuff, and if they're facing these witches and warlocks doing these spells and stuff, they're gonna feel that too, because you have to have a hedge. You have to have a hedge of protection to fight against the enemy. And if you don't have that hedge, you can't make it through this. You can't make it through it without God. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons, and that is the biggest lesson that we are to learn as target individuals. You can't do this without God. That's why he made it this way. But you should be asking is, why you? What is it in you? And this should be like a source of joy, possibly, because it's an opportunity. Why did he allow you to go through this? Why did he allow me to go through this type of trial? Who are we? How strong did he make us? This is no big me, little you. How strong did God, the Most High Yah, make these people? How strong are we? Who are we? Christ. Some people say when Christ was on the earth, right? And he was a child. There's lots of information that they took away. The Romans, the Esau, Edomites, all these people that control the world at the end. They took all these books away that would tell us about Christ's childhood, about how Christ walked and how he became the man that he became. Now we know he's the Son of God, but he was a man as well, right? And there's all these books that we are not privy to have. There's probably some lost books that talk about Christ's life, but a lot of the information has been hidden. But they have the information. So what I mean is how do we know the struggle or the lessons that he learned that kind of shaped who he was, and like experiences that he had with people and interactions with people, and just the trial and error stuff that because he didn't sin, but I'm sure he still had to learn things because he was a child. When did he how did those things affect him and shape him? And then all of a sudden he grows up, and then he's just this full of his purpose and knows he's the Son of God, and he has a purpose from his father. Or was this something that he just knew coming out the womb? I'm not sure about those things. I just know there's other books, and I know that there's things that we don't know about his childhood and experiences that he had, and I'm just wondering, how did those things shape him as an older man before he went into his ministry, right? So I'm like, okay, with us, all these things are shaping us into the people that we're supposed to be. This is a trial, but it's shaping, and that's why I keep asking, who are we? That they would make a program like this. They would be so intricate, that it would be so, oh my gosh, like overwhelming. It's not overwhelming, but it would be so unique and so it just that you couldn't explain it to anyone and have them really take you seriously. It's not something that's a natural thing. So I wonder, who are we? Think about this. The next time a real target individual goes through, and I say real, I mean somebody, man, I don't know who's real and who's not. I have discernment, and a lot of times I won't even say what I think about people. I just let them talk, and I do my prayer on the inside because I know my God is real, and He knows who's before me. He knows who's before me. Whenever I come in contact with people, and it's like, who are these people? I know He knows, and then I pray to Him, and then I be nice and cordial to them because that's the way I'm supposed to be, right? But I'm not going to be stupid and be unwise. I'm not going to I'm not going to do that. And if I make unwise moves, I pray all the time the Most High would allow me to have wisdom that comes from His throne because He's the only one that's wise. And I asked Him for His wisdom because I live in a crazy, destructive, evil world. And I'm not saying everything is crazy, evil, destructive. So you're not going to put that on me. I just know people and I know the ways. And I'm not a foolish dude. Not at all. I'm sorry. But anyways, if you guys would like to talk about this, what is this? Quantum entanglement. You can still, I'm about to go off right now. I'm about to turn the live off. I know this is one of those topics where it's like not the natural, normal type of target individual topic. But if you do your study on quantum entanglement and be honest with yourself, you will see the connection. You will see the connection between the whole yin yang, dark, the good and evil has to be they say it has to come together and they serve each other. They serve a purpose for one another so that they can be back. They can balance everything out. That's why you also, I don't know if you ever seen this. You've seen this Alex Jones video a long time ago where he went to the Bohemian Grove and these people were dressed in these hoods, these satanic elite people, all these different leaders and just like people that push perception and are the leaders of pushing the narrative in the world narrative, right? All right. So they came and they're at the Bohemian Grove, and they're doing these rituals and everything. And there's this one part of the ceremony what was called the cremation of care. The cremation of care. Basically, they're basically talking to this deity. This was Satan. They're talking to him, and he's telling them to get rid of their cares. Like, get rid of your cares. Your cares mean nothing. The people mean nothing. Basically, you're going to get rid of all of the pain that you've had for doing the evil things you've done on the earth to people, all the manipulation, all the lying, all of the deception that you people have created on this earth. In that ceremony, cremation of care, it's basically like, okay, we'll get rid of all that. None of that means anything. So you can do anything you want, do as you will. Aleister Crowley, it don't matter. Cremation of Care says get rid of it all, the mindsets, all of the thoughts, negativity. You don't have to worry about any of that anymore. And now, because they burn it into a fire, like with an effigy, like some sort of maybe a sacrifice, right? And they burn that thing in the fire, and they all like, oh, they all start jumping up and hooting and hollering and all this stuff. And now they go back to their jobs, and these monsters come back to our societies, and now they're basically people that are still in positions of power, and they act like, and they just go like business as normal. So they've gotten rid of all of their manipulation. They've gotten rid of all of their what is that? All of their cares, all their emotions, and all of their regrets, and all these things that they felt from doing the evil things they've done. They've basically gotten rid of all that now through their little cremation of care thing, right? And now they just go back out and they're monsters, and they do the same evil things to people at the jobs, being the leaders of these jobs that they've been put in these positions because of their ties to Satan, because they're in secret societies, because they have these brotherhoods and all this stuff all over the world right now until they're destroyed. But they have these connections. So now they're most of the time your leaders and your bosses at your jobs, right? I'm talking about the big jobs, not small, but the big jobs, right? So we deal with these people that are doing all of these things, and there are methods to their madness. There are strategies and tactics that they use, and they don't stop, and they have the apparatus and the ability, the think tanks and all of these in order to accomplish these things. So just want you guys to think outside of the box. Maybe not out. Yeah, just don't just think. Just think about what's going on around you. It's not just about somebody that doesn't like you, target individuals. It's not about just somebody that doesn't like you. Now they're just following you around. These people are highly trained. These people are highly wicked. These people are following a script. and the script does not have no good for you if you don't have God. So I would say, if you don't know the Lord Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus Christ, just you should repent. You should ask them. You should believe that what the gospel is that Christ, he came, he was sent from the Father, he died, went to Calvary, he died, he rose on the third day, and because of that, he has given us life, and he has restored that breach between that we had with the Father because of the fall of Adam. Now we have a right. We have this breach that's been this now we have that union now with God, where we can be saved. We are saved if you believe, but you also have to walk righteously before him. And all these things that I'm talking to you about, all these, quantum entanglements and all of these different tactics and things that the enemy does, that means nothing if you have Christ. I mean, we have fiery trial. We have to go through. I go through things, but we have to keep our heart, our mind, on Christ. Anyways, tomorrow, everybody like, share, subscribe. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you push the bell notification so that whenever I make a video, you will know. Today, we didn't have anybody here for a conversation, but I know it's late and everything. And also, I've just started doing these conversations. And this conversation, I knew would kind of be like, I don't know how many people want to talk about that, because it's like it's a different type of conversation in quantum entanglement. But do your study. Quantum entanglement. See the connection between this and targeted individual and our experience, and see if that has something to do with what you think may be going on, and how these people are actually fueled, like what they're actually, right? Because if there's something going on with you, I'm pretty sure there's somebody else that's loving it, like the battery from the Matrix. They're getting charged up based off of our failures, and the only way we can stop it is we change the narrative, give it to God, and have a new mind and walk in that new mind, that renewed mind, right? All right. So blessings to you guys. Shalom. And I will see you tomorrow or the next day, y'all willing. All right. Blessings to you. Shalom. Blessings to you. See, I should have had it where I had my music.